Hey guys, welcome back to the Hangar. In this episode, we are getting ready for drywall. So I don't know if you can see as I kind of spin around here and let you see the inside of the kitchen and the living room, but at this moment in time, we are ready for drywall. Unfortunately, I did a lot of this work off camera because it was a lot of little bits and pieces here and there that needed to get done to kind of just get everything ready for drywall. The two big things that happened after the HVAC system, the mini split systems were done, was electrical and insulation. So those were the two major steps, and then we had a lot of little things that we had to do just to make sure everything was ready and finalized and ready to go. So let's not wasting time. It's not actually going to be a real work heavy video. It's going to be a lot of me showing you what I accomplished over the past couple weeks trying to get ready for drywall. But let's kind of roll through them and we'll go down the list and I'll show you what I got done. So the first and biggest was the electrical. So I had already started doing a bunch of the electrical rough-in in previous videos, but I completely finished it up. And I essentially was doing electrical, like you can see how here all the lights are on and currently functioning, the ones that I actually have wired up and light bulbs in. I was essentially doing electrical whenever I didn't have anything else to do on the HVAC. So when I was waiting for fittings or I was waiting for parts, I would jump over and start running circuits. But I have all the circuits throughout the whole house run. Everything is tied back into the breaker box upstairs. So I'm running most of the house. 90% of the house are all running off the sub panel that I had installed in a separate video. And we ran all of them down here. So we can kind of just take a real quick look at how I got it all done. So here at the front door, we got lights that will, we got a switch here with a dimmer three-way switch here that controls the lights in the living room. And these are, right now, they're just cheap incandescent bulbs, but I will eventually put, dimmable LED bulbs in, and all the lights all the way down the house will match. So we'll have, can lights throughout the living room, but we also have ceiling fan fixtures. So in the living room, we're going to have a ceiling fan with lights here and a second ceiling fan with lights here. Same sort of thing here in the dining room area. We have can lights hung, but we have two fixtures installed so that we can hang a light fixture over the dining room table, and we're not sure if we want the dining room table on this side or the dining room table on this side, so I went ahead and just installed a fixture box for both. Same thing in here in the kitchen. We have all the can lights, quite a bit more can lights because you want a lot of light in the kitchen. And then you also have a couple fixture boxes here and here, because Kelly wants to have some pendant lights or hanging lights over the island. So that's kind of the lights in the main room. We also have all the outlets kind of in normal places, regular intervals along the wall. We hung some outlets up high so that wherever we hang a TV on the wall, or if we have a TV on a stand, the plug and the wires will be hidden behind. And you'll also probably see this here. I actually was running low on circuit breaker slots in my main panel, so I went ahead and ran another sub panel. So now I have two sub panels. I have one upstairs which will run all the house, and then I have this one which I've installed here which will run all the additional circuits that I want to run in the shop. So I know I'll probably want to run a welding plug somewhere over here on this wall. Right now I only have a welding plug all the way over there by the staircase, so I'll probably have a welding plug over here or maybe up closer to the hangar door. But all that kind of stuff, wherever I want to add circuits for the shop, I will use that particular sub panel. We have all of our outlets up high for the countertops in here in the kitchen. We also are going to have some plugs in the pantry just in case we need them for whatever reason. I don't know what we're going to use them for. This right here will be our outlet for our refrigerator, which is on its own circuit. And then once again, we have more plugs that go for the counters. We have a plug down here which will be for the disposal, which gets power from a switch. We also have, you know, a dishwasher outlet. And kind of a big change that I hadn't shown y'all before is that we decided that because we had to build these false boxes around these beams, we went ahead and closed in up top to kind of have a false, so that it's not just two pillars, but it'll wrap around, and then everything from there down in between or behind the sink will have kind of like a backsplash accent wall type thing. And that also gave us a good place to mount. We got 3 little bitty can lights that we're gonna mount here above the sink. Okay, so also in the kitchen, we have a 50 amp outlet here with 6 gauge wire that actually doesn't go to the sub panel. So all the things that draw lots of amps, but this 50 amp plug will be for the stovetop, and it goes back to the main breaker, which is on the other side of this wall, as opposed to the sub panel, which is kind of upstairs over here. Same thing over here. We have a 40 amp outlet with 8 gauge wire that runs back to the main you know, load center for the ovens. So we're gonna have a double oven here, and then we're gonna have a electric cooktop here. This is an outlet on its own breaker for the microwave, and that really kind of tidies up the kitchen. Oh yeah, I did run a circuit, so for the kitchen island, this is on its own circuit as well, because I don't know exactly how many plugs I'm gonna want to install in the kitchen island. Well, I will just skip kind of showing y'all the rest, because I'm sure that's truly boring, kind of watching me just point at empty boxes. But I can kind of show you upstairs here, the sub panel. Like I said, I had shown me running that in another video, a previous video. So with this sub panel, I got almost all of the house circuits are run to it. So here is the house sub panel upstairs. Once again, like I did in the dryer video, all the wire that comes into the sub panel I run through conduit, just because I don't have this wall framed in yet, and I didn't want it to look like a mess of Romex here with all of them just coming up out of the floor and running to the box. So I think that turned out very clean, very professional again. Pretty happy with it. Okay, so once I had the electrical done, I sat down and I made a list. So with the electrical and the mini splits complete, I made a list of all the stuff that needed to happen before we got to insulation. So here is my before drywall, before insulation list, and let's start ticking off some of these items. Okay, item number 1 is blocking for cabinets in the kitchen and the bathrooms. So when you walk in here into the kitchen, I went in and I added blocking all the way around the room for the lower cabinets. All of this is at 36 inches is at the top of them when I did it properly. So I have my line marked here. So 36 inches is at the top. That's the top of the cabinets, or the top of the countertop will be 36 inches. So that gives me that full 3.5 or 5.5 depth in order to nail the cabinets into the bottom cabinets into. Then the next one you go up to is, I believe, 56. I need to reconfirm that. Okay, I did reconfirm. Yeah, it is 56. I need to make sure that my information is right in these videos, because I go back and reference them myself all the time. So, like I said, the lower board here is at 36 down for the top of the cabinets. Then all the other rows are at the center line. So I put this middle set of blocking at 56 inches, and that'll be for the bottom of the upper cabinets. So you have a whatever that is, 36, 56. So you have a 20-inch gap between your countertops and your upper cabinets. So that'll be the bottom of the upper cabinets. And then we went ahead and we put more blocking at 84, so right at 7 feet all the way around the top. That's just additional blocking for depending on where I want to secure the cabinets or the upper cabinets. I don't know exactly what Kelly's going to pick out for upper cabinets. I don't know if she's going to have them go from, above the countertop all the way to the ceiling, if they'll come up short, if some will go all the way to the ceiling and some won't. We're not entirely sure about all of that yet. But we did add those 3 rows of blocking all the way around the kitchen, except for we know we're not going to have cabinets like above the sink where we're going to have just that accent wall. And the one thing else that you maybe noticed was that I have a 4th row over here. So I have a 4th row with the center line at 70 inches over the cooktop. And that's because over the cooktop, we'll have the microwave with the vent hood, and that actually doesn't come down as far as the lower cabinets. So the lower cabinets will kind of follow here, and then they'll kick up, and they'll go across this way, and then they'll come back down and be lower cabinets. And then the microwave will be here above the cooktop. The plan is to center the cooktop completely centered under this beam. So that is where it will be, and it will have its own little kind of accent wall backsplash thing behind the cooktop as well. So just like we blocked for those cabinets, I went ahead and added some blocking in both the bathrooms for the vanity. So forgive me, it's a little dark in here, but same thing. We're going to go with extra tall vanities, so we're going to go with 36-inch vanities in both the bathrooms. And I just installed some blocking to be able to secure that vanity nice and tight against the wall. Did the same thing in the master bathroom on both sides. Okay, so there is number 1 off the list, blocking for cabinets in the kitchen and in the bathrooms. Okay, next thing on the list was to hang the pocket door frame. So I actually did catch a bunch of this on video, so let's go over and watch us do that. All right, so the next thing on the list to do is to go ahead and hang the pocket door that's in the utility room. So we actually have the pocket door frame there on the ground behind me, and we are going to try and go ahead and get it installed. You can see my buddy Cameron was in town, and he gave me a hand while I was hanging this pocket door. Well, saying giving me a hand maybe taking a little bit far. Let's say he gave me half a hand. But you will also see him again later in the insulation video. He did help out hang some insulation as well. But having 2 people to hang the pocket door frame certainly is nice, because the name of the game is making sure that the whole thing is level and plumb. So there's lots of measuring, remeasuring, having someone hold it in place when you screw it in. But I secured it all along that back corner. I secured it all along the top, and once again at the floor. All right, that's item 2 knocked off the list, hang the pocket door frame. Okay, so the next item on the list is stud guards. So we can go in here and I can show you what and by we, I did very few. My wife Kelly did 90% of these. But anywhere that there is electrical going through a stud, we hung a plates. Anywhere where there's plumbing going through a stud, we hung plates. So just trying to protect all of that rough-in that we accomplished, so that when the drywall crew is hanging drywall, or someday if I'm hanging pictures or picture frames, I don't accidentally drive a nail through a wire or through a plumbing fixture. You can see them in here all along the condensate drain lines. We have them installed on the studs. We have them installed on the top plates where the wires go up and run across to the north side of the house to tie into the sub panel. But we did go through and install those everywhere, and by everywhere I mean everywhere. There are hundreds of these things throughout the house. They are just all over the place. We installed enough that I'm sure we missed some, but we did a really, really good job of covering, I'm going to say 95% of all the penetrations through the studs. All right, that is item 3, stud guards, off the list. Okay, the next thing is test the HVAC and wrap the units in plastic. That is already done. I have showed that in previous videos, but we definitely tested the HVAC. Everything worked good, and then we wrapped all these mini split heads in plastic and taped them up so that they do not get messed up or covered in mud or paint during drywall. Okay, so test HVAC and wrap the units in plastic is off the list. Inspect every corner for drywall screw. Okay, that's number 5. Now, I talked about this in some of the framing videos, but essentially what I'm getting at is anywhere that you have a corner in the house, you need to make sure you have a face to screw drywall to. So for instance, this corner, you can screw a sheet of drywall here, and you can also screw a sheet of drywall here. And you need to make sure you have that in every corner that you have. So it's the same thing here. These are pretty straightforward corners. and over here. You can see one as well. We have, you know, 2 sheets of, or 2 studs here to be able to screw into. The other one that you don't think about maybe as much is that you need to go back, and we did this, and you can probably kind of see it here, is we have, you know, the double top plates, and then we added this piece here to be able to screw drywall all along this edge. So since all of our floor joists are all running this same direction, you know, if I hadn't have added that, when the drywall butts up to this wall, there would have been nothing to screw to, and that whole edge of that drywall would have been just kind of floating in space. So going through and making sure you have them where necessary all across the ceiling is also important as well. And you can see we did that over here on both sides. So you have a big face to screw drywall to over here, and also over here on this other side, we have a solid piece of wood to screw drywall to. All right, so every corner in the house is good for hanging drywall on both faces. Number 6 is finish shim out, or shim at the master bedroom wall behind the, for concrete backer board. Sorry, that's kind of cryptic, but write myself my own notes. And I can kind of show you what we did here. I think I mentioned it when we framed out the shower. It's going to be really dark in here now that I don't have insulation, but yeah, probably too dark to show up on camera. But I shimmed out these walls here where the backer board overhangs, just to make sure it comes up over the or sits nice and flat on top of the shower pan. And then so that anywhere where these studs needed to be shimmed out, I had to come through and double check to make sure all of them were shimmed out properly. All right, so we did finish out shimming for all the backer board in the bathrooms. The next item on the list is 2-inch conduit to the second floor. So what I meant by that, and I ended up not even running 2-inch conduit, but here on this shop sub panel, I went ahead and kicked out from the top and ran some conduit to the second floor, and I will probably cut that flush with the floor later. But that just gives me access to run power to kind of this side of the upstairs if I ever need to for whatever reason. So I have this conduit, which will give me back access to this sub panel. Okay, and the final item on the list is stub out water. So let me show you what I meant by that. Anywhere where there was going to be water coming out through the drywall, which I guess there's really only one place, and that's here at the pot filler. I just installed a little nipple and a cap because, once again, we are using the washing machine in the house, so all of this is pressurized and full of water as we speak. So I went ahead and capped this so when they drywall up to it, they'll know to cut around it instead of covering up this droppier fitting, and that way I'll have access to this fitting when I install the pot filler. I did the same thing in the bathrooms with both, in this instance, the bathtub faucet and the shower. And the master, I did it with both shower heads. But that's really just for me when I go back and I install backer board so that I can get a good indication where I need to cut my hole in the backer board to fit around that fitting. Well, all right, that was everything on my list. So with all of these complete, I was then ready to start hanging insulation. So that is actually going to be another video. So that's going to be it for today's video. So lots of little things that we accomplished. All of them were important. They were, you know, lots of little quick jobs. I say that the blocking in the kitchen actually was a lot bigger of a job than I expected it to be. But I ended up getting it done, and I'm really happy with how it all turned out. But we are one step closer to drywall. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you on the next one.